We are up to week 13 of medical terminology. We're almost at the end. And we're doing the optic system this week. We've got both the Latin word for the eye, oculus, and the Greek word, ophthalmos. That's why, if you ever wondered why there are, we have the word ocular, we have the word ophthalmologist. Well, they're from different ancient words. And this week, the homework assignment doesn't have a lot of new vocabulary words on it. So the quiz for this week, with the theme in mind of it's never too early to start your review, it will definitely have a section on prefixes and suffixes that will be from the much earlier chapters of the class. The final exam will be cumulative. It will focus mostly on the material from after the midterm. But this is the kind of class where you absolutely need to know what we did on day one, week one, not only for the rest of the class, but, for your general knowledge of medical terminology. The form for this week will be a little bit different. It is on ancient Greek medicine. It is on the Hippocratic Oath. It asks you to look at the ancient version of the oath, with a translation actually by my dissertation advisor, Heinrich von Staden, formerly of the Yale Classics Department. And also asked you to look at the modern version of the oath, which is by a Tufts University physician and medical dean whose name was Louis Lasagna. I'm not making that up. And, just to think a little bit about some of the origins of our system of medicine. The ancient Greeks were the first to create a system of rational medicine, a system of medicine that was based on observation and drawing deductions, rather than on superstitious ideas or ideas that, that illness occurs because someone has, done something to displease the gods. And, as we said earlier in this class, that's the reason why we have so many medical terms from ancient Greek and Latin. And I'm just going to point out a few of them from this week that are referred to in the book. One is the word for pupil in our eye comes from the Latin word pupa, which is the word for a doll, with the idea that when you look in someone's pupil, you can see a little figure, a little doll. Pupa is one of those great Latin words that is a word about a child's life. Most of the vocabulary we have when we learn ancient Greek and Latin is not about the words that mothers used for their children, the words that, 5-year-olds said when they played games of dice. We have military vocabulary, we have law vocabulary, we have medical vocabulary. The second word, just to point out here, is uva, which means a grape. And it gives us the word for the uvea, which is the middle layer of the eye, which is a dark brown tissue, which resembles a grape. So both of these words suggest how ancient physicians were often using sort of very metaphorical thinking when they named the parts of the body. Or, who knows, maybe they named things that way because they were trying to explain it to somebody. And the best way to explain something like what your eye looks like, something that an ancient Greek could not see, the average ancient Greek, was to explain, what it looked like by referring to something in the real world. Finally, the word herpes, or herpes, which refers to herpes, in particular to shingles, as a kind of creeping skin disease. It comes from an ancient Greek word, herpo, which does mean to creep, slither, you could say, like a snake does, herpo. And it is related to the Latin word serpens, which gives us our word serpent, the animal who creeps. And just to point out that there is a little connection we see between words in ancient Greek that start with this H sound and words in Latin that start with an S sound. We see that also, for instance, in the word hex, which means the 6 in ancient Greek, gives us words like hexagon. And the Latin word for 6 is sex. The Latin word for sex is something entirely different, but that's for another lesson.